World Leaders Mohandas Mahatma Gandhi by Biography.com, editors and A plus E networks, adapted by News Ella, staff, text level 7. Please follow along as I read the article for you. Synopsis. Born in 1869 in India, Mohandas Mahatma Gandhi studied law and advocated for the civil rights of Indians. Gandhi became a leader of India's independence movement, organizing peaceful protests against British institutions. He was killed by a fanatic in 1948. Early life. Indian leader Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi was born on October 2, 1869. Gandhi grew up following Hinduism and practicing nonviolence, fasting and meditation, and vegetarianism. Shortly after the birth of his first of 4 surviving sons, 18-year-old Gandhi sailed for England to study law. He struggled with Western culture. Upon returning to India, Gandhi struggled to find work. He eventually obtained a 1-year contract to perform legal services in South Africa. Religious and political leader. When Gandhi arrived in South Africa, he was horrified by the discrimination faced by Indian immigrants at the hands of white authorities. An important moment in Gandhi's life occurred during a train trip to Pretoria. A white man objected to his presence in the first-class railway compartment, although he had a ticket. After refusing to move to the back of the train, Gandhi was forcibly removed from the train. His act of civil disobedience awoke in him a determination to devote himself to fighting prejudice. From that night forward, the small, unassuming man would grow into a giant force for civil rights. At the end of this year-long contract, he prepared to return to India until he learned of a bill that would take away Indians' rights to vote. Gandhi stayed and led the fight against the law. Fight for Indian liberation. In 1915, Gandhi returned to India and lived a strict life devoted to prayer, fasting, and meditation. He became known as Mahatma, which means great soul. Gandhi eventually became a leading figure in the Indian Home Rule movement. Calling for mass boycotts, he urged people to stop buying British goods. Rather than buy British-made clothes, he began to use a spinning wheel to produce his own cloth. The spinning wheel soon became a symbol of Indian independence. Gandhi advocated a policy of nonviolence to achieve home rule. In 1922, British authorities arrested Gandhi for anti-government activities, and he served 2 years in jail. The Salt March. After remaining away from politics for several years, Gandhi returned in 1930 to protest Britain's Salt Acts. These laws prohibited Indians from collecting or selling salt and imposed a heavy tax. In response, Gandhi planned a 240-mile march to the Arabian Sea. He would collect salt in defiance of British authority. Gandhi set out with a few dozen followers. The ranks of the marchers swelled by the time he arrived 24 days later at the sea, where he broke the law by making salt from evaporated seawater. The Salt March sparked mass civil disobedience across India. Approximately 60,000 Indians were jailed for breaking the Salt Acts, including Gandhi. Still, the protests elevated Gandhi into a significant figure around the world. He was named Time magazine's Man of the Year for 1930. The Homespun Movement. The movement was to promote Kadai, which is hand-spun cloth worn by the people of India. Gandhi was disappointed that India was losing its economic power because they were no longer exporting to England, and England was making cheap cloth and exporting it to the New World. Britain was destroying India's economy, and Gandhi believed in order to promote the growth of economy, they needed to stand together and protest against it. Amritsar Massacre and the Rowlatt Acts. The Amritsar Massacre happened on April 14, 1919, when British and Gurkha soldiers opened fire on an unarmed gathering, killing thousands of innocent people. During this time, the Rowlatt Acts had been passed prohibiting people from gathering of 5 or more persons in the city. Many of the people that gathered before the shooting were celebrating Baishakhi, a traditional festive in the city of Amritsar. Sepoy Mutiny. The Great Rebellion was known at the time as the Sepoy Rebellion because it was led by the Sepoys or Bengal soldiers who were serving as soldiers under the British. The British used the acts to exploit the people from India and threatened to get rid of the traditional Indian culture. To the Indian people, their culture was not only important, but to be forced to rid of it was not what they wanted. The British disrespected the people by issuing rifles to Bengal soldiers that were greased with pork fat, which was disrespectful to the culture of the Muslim community, and beef fat, which Hindus could not consume for similar reasons. The road to independence. As Great Britain found itself engulfed in World War II, Gandhi launched the Quit India movement that called for the immediate British withdrawal from the country. Once again, the British arrested Gandhi along with his wife and other Indian leaders. He was released after 19 months, but not before his wife died in his arms. After the Labour Party won the British general election of 1945, it began negotiations for Indian independence. Gandhi played an active role in the negotiations. However, he did not prevail in his hope for a unified India. Instead, the final plan called for 2 independent states, predominantly Hindu India and predominantly Muslim Pakistan. Violence between Hindus and Muslims flared even before independence officially took effect. Gandhi tried to appeal for peace. Some Hindus, however, viewed Gandhi as a traitor for expressing sympathy towards Muslims. If you look at the maps below, you'll notice the following. Once India gained independence from Great Britain in 1947, it separated into independent states with their own government. India was mostly Hindu and Pakistan was mostly Muslim. Assassination and Legacy. In 1948, a Hindu extremist, upset at Gandhi's tolerance of Muslims, shot him 3 times. The violent act took the life of a pacifist who spent his life preaching nonviolence. Even after his death, Gandhi's beliefs have been a beacon of hope for people throughout the world. His actions inspired future human rights movements, including those of Martin Luther King Jr. and Nelson Mandela. For more information and short video clips on India's partition, see this link.